Well, the sun is shining. It is a beautiful day, St. Patrick's Day. And if you aren't wearing green today, you might want to change that immediately. Unless you're already out of the house. Then, don't refrain from stripping in public. That could not go well easily. But happy St. Patty's Day. Yes, sun is shining. It is a beautiful day. Also, National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day today. Mine's on the slow cook right now, I believe, at the house. Sherilyn's got it put together. Hey, good morning. We're streamed everywhere you get your podcasts. We're on the web at airedoutvt.com. Thanks for catching us on YouTube this morning. Maybe you're watching us on Facebook, but yeah, we are live. We're 15 days away from April Fool's Day, 19 days to Easter Sunday. Being that it is Tuesday, a couple of things here. $5 Tuesdays back at the Capitol Theater. We talk about this every Tuesday morning. Skip the line. Grab your tickets in advance at fgbtheaters.com. But yeah, all showings, all movies, just $5. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram if you want to see the complete rundown, updates, showtimes, special events, all that good stuff. We're at 32 degrees right now, maybe 35 later today, but it's not really going to be warming up much beyond where we are right now. Wind chill advisory also in place with light snow, especially this morning, but the winds today are the main story, blowing around 30 miles per hour and higher in the mountains. Tonight going to be cold, down around 12 degrees with clouds. Tomorrow, sunshine to start, clouds to finish, about 31, and then on Thursday, a little milder, lower 40s, cloudy, snow showers still, though. Birthdays today. Nathan Payne. There we go. Patty Maguire on the list. Boy, here's some names here that going back with me. Brian Buck, Nicole Bove, Joanne Hurlbert, Mike Shawkett, Sorella Normandy, Matt Mears, Amanda Amos, Elizabeth Galani, and Ruth Hatkins. Happy birthday to all of you. St. Patty's Day with two T's or with two D's? What say you? Worth pointing out that some could also urge against using St. Patty's, DD, because Patty can be considered kind of a derogatory English term for an Irish person. So, I don't know. Negative connotation that probably won't come out when referencing the holiday, but I don't know. Maybe we should just be safe and say St. Patrick's Day. Anyway, community calendar is I have already posted up this morning. Corned beef and cabbage being served up for the Tuesday night meal at the American Legion, post 10, right here in the Granite City. Dine in or take out. It's just $12. They start serving up around 5:30. You better get in on it though. If you haven't yet called them, you should do it right now. 479-9058. Wouldn't be surprised in the least bit if they sold out. And then the Barrie Area Senior Center also serving up corned beef and cabbage for their lunch today, starting at about 11:30. Thanks to Gabe LaJeunesse yesterday coming in here and helping us process and decipher and learn about what's going on in the Middle East, which was just fascinating to hear everything he had to say yesterday. I went back last night and watched that one. This morning, this is one that I'm also planning to put in the earbuds a little bit later and re-listen to. Hope Garcia is a local mom who was in here a couple of weeks ago, I think now, and discussing very transparently a situation at Barrytown School where her son was being bullied. And this was, I should probably even say, habitually bullied. And first of all, Hope, I think you're super brave for coming in here and discussing this and coming back too. I mean, we had a lot of people that were watching the first time you came in here, and I asked you then, would you come back and give us an update? Tell us how things are. And you said you would, and you're holding to your word here, and I think that's great, because this is not subject matter that's one and done. We talk about bullying in some form or fashion every Wednesday with Sweethearts and Heroes, who joins me on the air, and they'll be on the air with me tomorrow morning too, and we're going to be talking about today's show. But this is something that's not going to go away. This is a huge problem, not just here in America, but also here in small town Vermont. What's the story with just give us some context here for the folks that maybe missed that first episode that you were on. Your son was bullied for quite a while.
Okay. Thank you again for letting me on your show here today. Last time I had my sister Chrissy with me, and I wish she could be on today too, but she's working. So hi, Chrissy. But my main thing is I came on last time as a parent from Berrytown Middle and Elementary School. My son was an 8th grader. He attended there, and he was being bullied not only socially, he was being bullied in school, he was being bullied emotionally, and he was bullied racially. Like many parents, I started the process of following the paper trail, and I first had asked a couple questions, and it had already started prior to January. It had been a conversation multiple times. My son has an IEP, and it didn't feel like it was going in the right direction, so I decided that I was going to push a little further and ask more questions. But by that time, it had already done its damage on my son. My son was having medical issues. He was having anxiety. His attendance was poor, and it was showing. And it seemed to everyone else that, he's just trying to get out of school. But these weren't things my son had ever done before. My son's attendance had been poor in the past because of asthma, but not for the things that was happening at home, and not for the reasons why he didn't want to go to school. And at first I was just like, okay, maybe he's sick. So I kept getting him checked. Or maybe it's part of his asthma. Nope. And then he started having major anxiety and panic attacks. And the school didn't see it that way, but I noticed that there was a change in him overall, his demeanor, his passion, his wanting to do things that he normally wanted to do, and his way he stepped away from the only thing he loved, which was basketball. So I pushed. And I pushed hard, and in doing that, it caused more problems with the school and with my son.
So your son is mixed race?
Yes. My son is half Hispanic, half white.
All right. How old is he?
He is 13, about to be 14.
All right. So how long was he going to Berrytown School?
We moved back to Vermont in June of 2024, so he has been going to Berrytown since the beginning of his 7th grade year. We are from Los Angeles. So my son is used to interracial schools, more so with more Hispanic kids. So being out here, this was his first time where he was the minority.
So right off, how did he deal with this? How did
It was crazy for him. I mean, the dressing is definitely different for him. I mean, he was used to always wearing Jordans, Nike, everything top of the line, because that's how kids dress on the West Coast. But at the same time, he's like, that's not what people care about here. That's not what the kids really, if they were in the city, yes, but not here in Vermont.
How was he reacting? How was he responding to?
He was trying his best to fit in. And when people were bullying him, he kind of brushed it off because he wanted to fit in. So he didn't at first react to the bullying, and he just let it slide because he's like, okay, well, how am I going to, become popular? How am I going to be part of the in crowd if I say something? It's like I said last time I was on, snitches get stitches. That's across the whole United States.
Yeah.
Most kids don't talk about bullying, or they don't want to bring it up because they don't want more repercussions from it from the kids in school, because the minute you tattletale, you think that saying something to a teacher or someone that's an adult, even your parents, that automatically your friends are going to get in trouble, and then it'll come back on you tenfold.
Yeah. We're getting some a little bit of relatability this morning with some of our comments that are coming in. I think all parents, and I know this is some broad strokes here, but that all parents in some way can relate a little bit to, yeah, I remember either when I was a kid, or I remember when my child was in school or is in school now, and I was starting to smell that something was off, that maybe we were crossing the line here between having fun and typical childish banter and unwanted comments that were resonating in kids' heads and hearts and caused pain, even though they've got a smile on their face. As a parent, it's not easy to always recognize this kind of stuff. You've got to be paying attention to your kid. And you saw some of those signs.
I myself dealt with bullying growing up. My older son dealt with it as well. And I've seen it for years. And I mean, even in Vermont, 47% of middle schoolers are bullied. So it's not like it's something that if your kid hasn't been a part of it, someone else your kid knows has been a part of it. So It's not something they're not used to seeing. And for yourself, chances are, if you grew up here, you've been a part of it too. If you haven't, I don't know what rock you've been living under.
Yeah. You know, and I'm thinking of my parents, super old school, and you know, when I was in elementary school, it was in the 70s, late 70s, and even in the 80s. I mean, there was just this mindset of kids will be kids, and so much of that is still, in some ways, true. But, you know, Tom Murphy, and I don't want to speak for him, but really anyone from Sweethearts and Heroes would probably say, as I've heard them say before, yeah, there is some truth to that. However, there's lines that get crossed, and they're not always super visible. You've got to be, as an administrator, as a teacher, as the janitor, as the parent at home, as the friend, the neighbor, you've got to be watching these kids and paying attention to what might be going on behind the curtain there. There could be some mental health implications as a result of some of these comments, if they're repeated, if they're, you know, started out as a joke and we all had a laugh, and then, you know, this has been going on and on now, and I, as the recipient, am not laughing anymore, but you, as the bully, and your friends still are. And that's where adults should get involved, should intervene. And I say adults, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a teacher, if it's the janitor, if it's anyone that's noticing this, should get involved. But I get the impression, I get the feeling that your story, your situation, which has some complexities in it, has not been heard or well received or taken seriously. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is any of what I just said accurate?
A lot of it is accurate, and there are certain things that I can't say right now over the
Over the mic.
due
Yeah.
to the fact that it's still an ongoing investigation. And with that said, I'm not here to slam the school. I'm not here to slam the district or anything like that. But what I'm here to say is that as a parent, we have to look out for the safety of our children. And if we see something, we need to say something. Not
Right.
just like they say in school, but you need to fight for your child because your child can't fight for themselves
Right.
when it comes to things like this. And a lot of times, a lot of school districts will do everything they can to push you to stop.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if you don't have that strength, or maybe it's just not, you don't have the time, or you just know that it's a fighting battle, you don't think that you can win, those are a lot of reasons why they may push back harder on you to just stop it. And that's where you need to push back even harder. Because if you want to stand up for your child, you want to stand up for the rest of the children in that school system, you can't give up. You have to fight through it, because it's also going to cause more stress on yourself. But how much does it mean to your child? Or how much does it mean to you to show to every other parent out there that this is something that you can fight for to help so that other children in that school system get a fair shot?
Yeah. We as adults can get very easily complacent. We can get very comfortable with the daily routine, the daily grind, what we're paying attention to, what we allow to rent space in our head. And we, all of us of all ages, can get so easily distracted now by so many things, so many factors, that we lose sight of often of what's right in front of us, that we have a problem that's growing right in front of us, and we don't see it, not because it's not there, but because maybe we're just not paying as much attention to it as we should. Schools have, and I've said this before to Tom. Schools have, I wouldn't. This is just me talking. I wouldn't be tripping over myself to try to be a school teacher these days. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't want to take that on. I mean, maybe back in the 70s, maybe. But, man, it's like, as a teacher, you're supposed to teach. And, and Tom and I have had this discussion before, and Pat Fish and others, that so much of what teachers are doing today, again, I say it seems, is dealing with the social and intersocial complexities that kids are carrying through life right now. And there's a lot that teachers are doing, that they're picking up the slack from parents at home that, for whatever reason, are just not doing or not capable of doing, and teachers are just dealing with a lot of what kids are bringing in from their home lives. And the math, the science, the social studies, the English, the writing, the reading, and all that stuff is in some ways, and in some classrooms and in some schools, and it varies, is taking a back seat. And, man, it's like, I don't know. I can't imagine being a school teacher. However, with all of this said, with everything that just came out of my mouth, at the forefront of no matter what you're doing as a teacher, whether you're actually teaching, whether it's science, English, writing, phys ed, whatever it is, at the forefront of everything that you do, of having a purpose, of being in that position, your eyes should be open widest to the interactions that your students are having with their classmates. not only in that classroom, but in the cafeteria, on the playground, after school, on the school bus on the way to school. That should be that should be a absolute given that you're paying attention to that. And when you see something that doesn't seem right, you nip it in the ass. Right off. I mean, man, it's like, I think of Lily's principal, and I mean, just high respect, just low tolerance. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not treating another kid right, they take care of it. And no school is perfect. Everyone's got their problems. What are they saying to you?
Well, the biggest thing is that safety's first and that they care about the children. But when I think about those words and what you just said right now about, all the classrooms, these teachers have a lot on their plate and they're looking at their 20 plus students in their classrooms, or maybe some of the classes are smaller than that, depending on which district you're in. What do they need to get done? Yeah. They have their syllabuses, they have their information that they have to follow to get through to the end of their semesters or quarters, and they have to complete that information. So does some of the information when it comes to safety get pushed back? They may think it isn't, but it is. So they may brush off like a little argument between two kids, or they may brush off this cranky child who's sitting in their classroom that morning, when that cranky child could be cranky because something bad is happening at home, or that something happened on social media and they've been cyberbullied. I understand that, like, our school systems in Washington school district does not allow phones middle school down. And now that we just pressed that policy for the high school that they're supposed to turn them off when they walk into the school, they only, I believe, are allowed to use them in the lunchroom. I could be wrong, so please don't quote me on that one. But they did change the policy this year so that it wasn't that they could just, hey, let's use these in the classroom while the teacher's talking. Now, the policy of changing it for them not having access to their phone, that's a great thing to do. I mean, it does help and gets the kids to pay more attention in class, but it doesn't stop the cyberbullying outside of school. And kids who are home at 3:00 doesn't mean they're not always doing their homework. There's not always that second parent or first parent sitting over there making sure they're doing their homework. So a lot of these kids jump on Snapchat. A lot of these kids jump on Discord, Twitch. And some of these things I may say, and these parents are looking at me like, what are you talking about? Why? Because we're not all in the know. None of us are all in the know when it comes to these types of applications or these video games that these video game platforms that they're using, or who is on those platforms. And some of these programs delete things immediately, so you don't know what is said. Yeah.
Good point. One of the things that we've discussed on Wednesdays, Sweethearts and Heroes Day, is that bullying is something that's done intentionally. It's done with repetition. But beyond that, what it's stemming from is, and what I've learned from Tom and the boys, is that there's a power imbalance. For whatever reason, the weakest link, there's pecking order in packs. I mean, this, goes back to the wolves, but it's a power imbalance. And when someone feels that they've got the upper hand on the power, that if they've got an inch, that the next day they might try to take an inch and a half just to remind themselves that they've got the power. Especially if they're garnering some attention from others, an audience that is laughing at them. That's reiterating to them that they're popular, they're funny, and what they're saying or doing, whether it's, back when I was a kid, spitballs, and, the teacher would turn their back and you'd catch a paper airplane in the side of your head or whatever. But, man, it's like if you can get away with an inch, pretty soon you're going to be at 2 inches. And then you're going to up it to 3 and 4. It's a reminder. It's more than an ego stroke. It's a reminder that the power imbalance is there, it exists, and it's working in your favor as the bully. This is very, very complicated stuff. The bottom line is that it ends with, it can end tragically, but it can also take root and go down a different kind of a road. In your situation, you felt that you have put everything on the table. You've tried everything. And you weren't receiving the support that you were asking for, and you ended up pulling your kid out of school right around the last time you were here, right?
So when I came in here, I was still in the discussion phase with the school, and I had met with them the day before I came in to air it out. And at that point, I had already requested a letter of intent, but which means you have to wait 10 days until they can let your child out of school for homeschool. And my point at that point was, okay, well, if I'm going to take him out, I'm going to take him out. If not, then he's going to stay in. Let's see where this goes. After that meeting, I knew for sure that he's done. He's out. I have never wanted to take either one of my students out of school or put them in homeschool, because the first thing that we think about, like most parents do, who's going to teach your child? Who has the time to teach your child? I think the bigger part about that is, like, if you are a single parent, that stops you from doing a lot of the things that you need to get done in order for your child to learn at home. And especially when they're in that age gap between like 6th through 8th grade, they need a lot more attention. And my son has an IEP, so he needs even more attention when it comes to learning. Mind you, his IEP changed when he moved out here, and his IEP was not the same when he was in California. And his IEP became an emotional IEP by 8th grade, which differed for me and was confusing because he's always needed help in math and English. So they did assist him with that, even though it didn't necessarily need to be on there. But he was still below average. And he did have issues emotionally. And I was like looking at this like, okay, but that wasn't his mainframe in California. It was the issues with speech, which could be because he knows 2 languages. His math, his English, the scores were lower. What we did find out is that when he got here, he was doing well in math as long as he had the assistance with WIN, the program. What I don't understand is if these programs are there to help you, these support systems are here to be there for you, and yes, you're missing school, then what is it when they are in school? What are those extra support systems doing? And if there is a problem, why aren't they calling you? Why aren't they saying, hey, we see something. Hey, this isn't working out. Not, hey, your kid was absent. Well, yeah, I understand my kid's absent because they're home. But when you put them in homeschool, there's a lot more to doing that than just saying, hey, here's a couple assignments. Do it on your own. Make sure you're doing your math, your English. You need to get this reading done. It's not like you can hire a tutor. You don't have the extra money to just sit down and have them go to them every week. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to work from 9 to 5. Just get this done. You have no idea what they're doing during the day. It's not that easy. I myself just started my own business. And at this point, I've had to put a lot of things on hold so that my son can do homeschooling. But I will do anything for my children. And that's fine. And I also did teach when I was in California. So for me, I'm lucky that I have that opportunity and I have that background. But all parents don't have that. So they have to still fight the system, or they have to say, you know what, I'm sorry, you have to stay in school with your bully and you have to handle it. And that's not fair to these parents. There has to be another way to communicate with the school system, to communicate with the board, to communicate with the parents, the bullies, with everyone, so that they have to come out with another way to treat the situation because it's not working.
When you've communicated with the school, the principal, superintendent, whoever, have you made it clear to them, teacher, and so on and so forth, who these particular kids are that are bullying your son?
It's part of the policy that you're supposed to give up. When they go through the investigation part, you're supposed to give up as much information as you can. Your child is also investigated, so your child is supposed to give up as much as they feel that they can give up, and then the school has to do an investigation. There are different steps. There are different parts. There's a student conduct form, and then there's the HHB investigation.
And what is that?
A student conduct form is the first type of form that they utilize to see what it is, like where it's handled. And it's the automatic form that they use for any type of incident that comes in the door. The HHB is the harassment, hazing, and bullying policy. And if it meets the criteria of that, they do an investigation. Now, meeting that criteria is where I don't necessarily agree. And those are the things that I can't air on my investigation right now, because it will go too far into what the school system is doing and what I am doing on the other side. So with that being said, what I can say is that as a parent, you have to push. As a parent, you have to remember that you're sticking up for your child and their safety, and did everything get met? Was everything done the right way? And that's what you have to remember.
Even if you're not liked by folks on the school board or at the school itself.
Exactly. Unfortunately, you're not
looking to make friends here. That's not the goal.
You're not trying to, not only it's not about not trying to go against the school or the school system, it's about, was everything done right? Mm-hmm. And was your child given every opportunity to be heard, and was everything fixed? Like, was every opportunity there to be fixed?
Sure.
And if it wasn't, it's your job as a parent to keep fighting.
And was every opportunity exercised to address the bullies? I mean, there's some really effective ways to do that. As parents, as adults, I mean, we've got some really good ways of doing that. Different processes that we can go through of sitting down and having,
I think
a good, healthy conversation. And if things continue, listen, I'm no expert on this. I don't have the answers to this shit. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but there are more effective ways to engage with the bullies. I mean, you can sit all day and talk about, to the victim, how to respond, how to react, how to process this, get some counseling, so on and so forth. But if you get to the root of it, you go to the bullies, and furthermore, go to their families, go to their parents, and say, hey, let's all sit down here. I mean, if this bully has a real, legitimate reason for not liking this kid, let's talk this out. Let's figure this out. And stop. Listen, I want to let you know, we're watching you. We're paying attention to how you interact with this kid before school, during school, after school. Was it mostly verbal stuff, or was it physical stuff? Were they breaking things? Were they throwing things? Were they name calling, making threats? What kind of bullying?
He not only had he was verbally called things, he was physically attacked. He was told to do things because he spoke out on his own page about suicidal ideations, and they said, go ahead and do it. And the thing that spoke out to me most about like reading about Vermont in itself is that if half the students who are in middle school have been bullied, 20% of those half of those students have suicidal ideations. So if you think about that, you have 50% of students going to school right now between 6th and 8th grade that have been bullied. And then almost half of those students have suicidal ideations. Are we paying attention to that in school, and are we paying attention to that at home? That does not mean we're bad parents at all. It just, are we looking for those signs? And it also doesn't mean that our kids are not strong. It just means, are we listening to what's going on in their lives?
Right.
Because sometimes we can't see that, and a lot of it comes from cyberbullying. A lot of it comes from what's going on online, and not necessarily what's going on in school, but it's what they're saying to them online and what they have access to.
Yeah. Harassment through social media, through text, through apps like Snapchat and Instagram, the rest of them is the real deal for sure. Comments coming in. Get an advocate. I'm just reading here. Let's see. Yeah, get an advocate if necessary to help you. All kids deserve the same opportunity. Even if they don't like the child, that does not give them the right to mistreat the child. Sometimes, JD, the parents are just as much bullies as the kids. Unfortunately, BUUSD does nothing for the child being bullied. And just the last comment, that just a lot of comments coming in. What happens when the teacher is the bully and it's brought to the administration and nothing happens? I mean, I am not sure about anyone else, but I am done with the bully issues and nothing being done. That comment just came in. Most parents don't check their kids' socials. I am a parent with kids who have some of these platforms, and I check them every single night.
And that's not helicopter parenting. I just want to let you guys know.
No, that's not helicopter parenting. That's good parenting.
When a lot of those questions are really good questions, and a lot of those questions I have also dealt with. As far as teachers are concerned, you can speak up to your school about issues with a teacher. Is it hard to have that conversation with your school? Yes, because the school's job is to protect that teacher, because that is their employee. You can have that conversation. It is available to you. Will it get you anywhere? May not, but the conversation's there. If there's more than one person or student that has a problem with that teacher, you have a better chance of having something done. And again, you still have to go through all the processes of the different parts, from talking to the principal, going through the superintendent, and going through the board. But those processes take time, and it's not just a 1 week situation. It takes at least 1 month from the school to another month through the superintendent, through another month through the board, and then through appeals. And they could stop at any time at any one of those parts. But as long as you have the information and you have something to fall back on, you have more to get to that top shelf. The next question after that was about BUUSD not doing anything. It's not that they don't do anything. They find ways to stop you from going farther, and it stresses parents out, and it's like, I just can't do anymore. And it really is about fighting it. And another person said, get an advocate. Yeah, because it stresses you out. It's too much. It's too many back and forths, and then you finally say, I can't do it anymore. It takes a lot to do this.
You have invested so much time in filling out paperwork alone and making phone calls. Where are we at now? I mean, since you've been on the air with me,
30 to 40 emails in, and talked to at least 6 or 7 different agencies.
And you've pulled your kid out of school.
And I pulled my son out of school, which takes up even more of my time. And a lot of other things have had to be put on hold. But do I regret any of it? Nope, not at all. And I went about doing something like this for my other son when he was my son's age. And he went through bullying a very different way and a lot worse. And I wish I'd taken the steps with him the way I am with this one. But sometimes you have to learn, and you learn the hard way. But my older son is a completely different ball of wax. So
you've learned a lot. You have an incredible amount of knowledge here on how to chip away at this. And like I've said this before on the air, and I'll say it again. There's no one fix all of everything here. I mean, you got to deal with school, you got to deal with the bullies, you got to deal with your kid who's on the receiving end of this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's legal stuff. The list goes on a mile long. Some of these comments that are coming in this morning from people that can relate to you, what you're going through. Have you thought about creating maybe I don't know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever, for lack of a better term, group of parents who can get together and FaceTime each other? When I say FaceTime, I mean physically we're in the same room and talk about, hey, not only what's happening, but this is what you need to do next. This is what I did, which proved a waste of time, or this is what I did, which proved to be effective. You got to be patient in this department. In this other department, you have more leverage than others. Have you thought about bringing this information of what you've got to other parents?
I've done advocating for bullying for many years for adults.
Because I would want to talk to you. I mean, if I was in the same boat or a similar boat than you, I would be blowing you up.
I have. I mean, in the past, I did bullying for adults out in California, and I think that there's a process for this, but I have to learn a little more to see what's going to happen with the board, what's going to happen with the rest of the school system before I can sit there and tell everybody else, this is a good idea. I don't want to say, hey, try this, and then them just feel disappointed because it didn't work. But I do see right now that there are certain things you can do as parents already for your kids, like the mom on there said, or dad, whoever it was, about your phones, about how you can help with cyberbullying. I did want to address that today to say that these are some of the things that you can do as a parent. We all come from a different time where we didn't have cell phones.
Yep.
And I know that this is the middle school students. We all come from a time where we had pagers. Like, we were all in high school when that happened.
Yeah.
Or right when we started getting pagers, and everything was like 143 across your pager. I mean, we didn't have access to this. Or some of you parents are the ones with the pink razors. So you already had that when you were in high school. Mm-hmm. So you were just getting familiar with this, or the Blueberry. Was it Blueberry? Blackberry, sorry. I said Blueberry. Yeah. That's so funny. But that didn't have YouTube on your phone.
No, I know.
We had MySpace, and I was in the military when we had MySpace, and that was a thing of the past. And when you think of things like that, MySpace caused so much drama too.
That was the beginning of it.
People were cheating because of MySpace.
Yes.
I mean, we had problems with that as adults. So, mind you, these kids are so smart when it comes to AI, when it comes to these things, finding out what kids are doing behind doors, or they're sending nasty pictures of each other and posting their faces on fat little babies. I mean, I'm only using that as an example because it's something I know of from way back when, but these things hurt these kids and it doesn't stop.
Well, there's a fine line between what's funny and what's not, and what's causing pain. There's a fine line. right?
Yes, but there's also ways that parents can help with that. We can't help with it forever.
Yeah.
But there are ways that as a parent, until that kid turns 18, and if they have a phone and you're paying their bill, there are certain things you as a parent can do to stop a lot of that from happening.
Yeah.
And I know that these kids are going to probably kill me right now for saying this so over aired out. But as parents, we have ways to help with the cyberbullying. Is it going to make them mad? Of course it is. But will it help you and ease you to think that your child's not going to be being cyberbullied, or maybe they won't have as many suicidal ideations? Yeah, it will help you. Besides saying, hey, give me your cell phone. You're not going to have it tonight. Give me this. And they say, oh, but I need my cell phone because I need to check my emails for school. Because that's like the number one thing they'll say back to you. Or, oh, I need to use my cell phone because I need to get my passwords off of it because I need to use my school laptop. There's a lot of excuses you will get, but there's always ways around it.
I know kids are good, man. They're slick.
When it comes to cyberbullying, you can use digital responsibility education, teaching them platforms that are not good for you. Omegle is one, and a lot of parents do not know what that is. It's Omegle, and it is a platform where people can talk to random people on the other side of this platform.
Yeah.
And it'll just be anyone that pops up on the platform. Yeah. You don't know if you're talking to a predator. You don't know who you're going to speak to. It just pops up with somebody. And a lot of the kids will go on this and jokingly will be sitting there with a friend, and they could be talking to a 40-year-old man and have no idea that's who's going to pop up on there. And it's just some random person across the United States. And they could be doing something really inappropriate when that picture pops up. And there's no filters to stop that program from happening. The only way you can do that is filter it on your computer or filter it off the phone. Teaching kids how to report online harassment, getting them to talk to you, getting them to tell their teachers, making sure that the programs that are set up in school, which they try to do, are being held to, because they still get around those systems and use things on computers at school. Encouraging your children when they are bullied to screenshot what is being said, because as you should already know, if you have kids using Snapchat, things are deleted immediately. Or erased. Yeah. So if you don't have proof of it, it never happened. And that is one of the hardest things for these kids that are being cyberbullied. If they can't prove that it happened, well, sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Setting healthy technology boundaries. Telling your kids you can be online from 4 to 6. That's it. If not, the phone gets taken away.
Well, that's a tough one. I'm dealing with that right now at my house.
Schools and parents working together when online behavior affects school safety. That is a huge one, because schools are also responsible when there's issues with cyberbullying, because it comes into school. So depending on the situation, if a child is being bullied outside of school and that cyberbullying affects the safety of the child in school, the school is also held for accountability. So as a parent, it is our job to also let the school know if our child is being bullied by another student inside the school and it deals with cyberbullying. So that, again, is why the screenshots are important. You can tell your kids don't separate their online world from their school world. When something happens online, they carry it into the classroom. There are programs on your phone, especially if you have Apple, where if you have a family plan, if you're the one paying, you can call Apple, you can call Spectrum, you can call Verizon, you can call any one of those systems, and they will tell you, because the Apple has it. They have a program that you can set up on your phone, and you can lock it with a password for each one of your children on certain times of day that they can use their phone. You can lock the phone during the school hours. And that means they do not have access to YouTube. They do not have access to Snapchat. They do not have access to any application whatsoever, not even the internet. You can also block out any messages. And you can make it so that the only people that they can talk to are you, your husband, your wife, and immediate family, or the school number. And you can lock that from 7 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can also lock out the phone from 10 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning, and they don't have access to anything. You can also put locks on what kind of information they're looking up on the web. They can't look at anything that's 18 and above. You can set that standard also for music. These are all available on Apple phones. I don't know the information for Google phones, Samsung phones. I probably has the same program, but Apple phone has had this built into his phone for years now. It's just parents aren't told this. It's something you have to look up. Another way that you can help your kids is listen to your children and take concerns like they're real. We have often will just blow our kids off like, Mom, I'm getting bullied. This kid's calling me names. It's like, a lot of us were brought up in that time where a parent said, suck it up. Oh, yeah. Don't do anything about it. Just, they're calling you fat. Who cares? Just, it's nothing. You're not fat.
Yeah.
We have to listen now. Kids are more vulnerable this day and age. They weren't brought up the way we are with tough skin. And as much as we want them to have that tough skin, it's a lot harder for them to deal with it. And so that's why we have so much issues with suicide for these teenagers this time around. You have to encourage those open conversations. It may be something you don't want to talk to your child about, and maybe you don't think it's the right time. Maybe they need to wait another 4 or 5 years. But sometimes those issues, they're starting younger. You may need to have that birds and bees talk a lot earlier than you wanted to. But just be open to them. And then behind closed doors, have your little cry. Because honestly, if you don't have that conversation with them now, you don't know what's going to happen next. As a parent, document everything. Have your kids give you the screenshots. Every communication you have with a teacher, an email, put it in your favorites box. Save everything. Send and everything sent and everything given to you. Favorites, save it, save it, save it. You never know when you may need this information later to tell somebody that we have a problem and I'm showing you why. And tell your kids it's okay to ask for help. And they're not going to be a snitch. If they tell you, they're not snitching. They're letting you know, and they're asking for help. Asking for help is not necessarily a bad thing. It's letting them breathe. These kids are getting anxiety. These kids are falling into depression. These kids are not finding a way out, and it's causing more concern on the inside. And then when you hear about these children that are committing suicide and parents say, I don't know why. And then they find out weeks later, months later from other kids or even the school system, why are they finding out from somebody else and not you? You are the first line of defense for your children. You should be knowing what's going on with them.
You should.
It doesn't matter if you're working. All you have to do is once a day say, hey, how are you? What's going on? And just asking those questions is above and beyond for a child just to know their parents are listening.
You've done a lot of work here. I want to make sure that all of your notes, everything that you've prepared, is making its way into this microphone.
Double check.
Just got a comment here saying I only communicate through email, and it's helped me more than ever in my child's bullying case. Yeah, man, you got to have transparency. You got to have proof that it was said, it was heard, it was received.
The working parents, you know that the schools are supposed to be there for you. The teachers are supposed to be there for you. And other trusted adults can help you. Yeah. If you are the working parent, try to get your child involved with their aunts, their uncles, a grandparent, that's somebody else that they can talk to. That's not your fault for working. You have to put food on the table. You have to make sure you have shelter. Don't ever think it's your fault that your kid is being bullied because you're working. because it's not. You're doing the right thing for your family, but there are other adults in your life that may be able to help you where you can't do the work for your child. Get somebody else there to be a mentor. I don't think we have big brother, big sister around here anymore. That was a huge thing when we were kids, when we had parents there, the latchkey kids.
Latchkey kids, yeah.
I had a big sister. I remember going bowling with her.
Yeah.
But there could be programs again that can help these kids. Even college students. There could be other ways that these kids could get help or have groups so they have a safe place or safe space to be. I know that they've talked about that, like there should be like a teen room down here, I believe, in Barrie, but maybe it needs a little bit of a...
Don't even get me started on
Maybe
that.
It needs a fresh pick-me-up. Maybe that's something that we as parents should talk to someone about, getting a fresh pick-me-up for this teen center so that the kids have a safe place to go and talk about things.
That's been something that's been needed for a very long time, in my opinion. And I'm talking about right here. Right here. It's accessible by foot. Don't even get me going on that.
I think another way, because I can say all this stuff about social media, cyberbullying and everything, and I will go back to this. When I first got here 2 years ago, I said Cash App to a lot of people, and they're like, what is that? And I know that a lot of people use Venmo. Like, Venmo is the way to go out here. And now a lot of people use Cash App more now. We are behind when it comes to technology in Vermont. There's nothing wrong with that. We're a nice, quiet, smaller society. Maybe we're not very quiet, but we are a smaller society, which means a lot of the adults here are not familiar with a lot of newer technology. So does that mean every parent knows how to use Twitch, Discord, which are all programs for video games? These are all platforms where they can talk to other people. And I say other people, I'm not talking about kids.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of times when your child is online, they are not talking to kids their age. They're talking to adults. They're talking to 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
They are talking to people at 3 o'clock in the morning while you're sleeping to someone who could be 38 years old and you have no idea.
Yeah.
Point.
Look what's been going on in the media about Roblox and Zuckerberg having the fire put to him. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now.
Roblox is pushing over towards Discord. So I think that another good program is having classes on social media.
Yeah.
For parents.
Yeah.
Letting them know what these programs are.
Yeah.
Breaking them down so that they can understand what their kids are doing. It was like, hey, Mom, can I get this new video game? Well, we kind of need to know what the video game is. Because we just buy it for them, and we do kind of like that silence sometimes.
Sure.
Because we want to rest too after we're working or we've had a long day.
100%.
Even parents that stay home, we're at home doing all these other things that no one ever thinks we're doing.
Yeah.
And we just want to rest too. With that said, having a way to get that platform out so that even teachers know. It's an opportunity for people to know more about their social media. It's like everyone goes on TikTok to find out what these words are that these kids are saying when they're in school. This is another reason why we should have these platforms.
I have to mention this because it's so important and it's so pertinent to what we're talking about. But Washington County Mental Health, who has been a sponsor here of the Aired Out podcast for years, long time, they have an adult standing committee. They call it the Children, Youth, and Adult Standing Committee. It's basically a gathering over at the Well Space Building right here in Barrie on Summer Street every second Thursday of the month from 4:30 until 6 o'clock. It is free. They get pizza. They feed you. If you have kids, you can bring them. They'll be with a staff member in the Imagination Station room. But the next one that they have is coming up on April 9th. And I've got this right here in front of me. Strengthen the delivery of services for adults experiencing mental health needs in our community through inclusion, understanding, fostering collaboration among individuals who live with experience, family members, staff, partner agencies, the board of directors. They're all connected in with this, and it is huge. There's a different theme, if you will, that they feature each time they do this, whether it's IEPs or whether it's bullying. I know they've brought in the Barrie City Police Department to do one of their Thursdays about bullying alone. So you can also connect in and watch this and listen in virtually. So it is something that we are always promoting here. We'll continue to as we move closer to April 9th, but that's something that you really should check out. WashingtonCountyMentalHealth.org is their site to have a look at this. But this is really important stuff. I personally would love to see someone like yourself create a group, whether it's once a month or whatever. I would promote the crap out of it, where you can all get together and share your stories and help one another, because a text group is great. But if we can all be together looking at each other in the same room, that would be amazing. If that's anything that you would ever consider launching, I'm backing you up 1,000%.
I'm interested in it. I just need a place. I have no problem doing something like that where I could have a conversation and have parents come in and just have a conversation to start and just voice your opinions and voice your stories, and then we go from there.
I got a space for you, okay. right here.
Okay.
So we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. If it's something that you want to do badly enough, and we're getting some thumbs up here from folks, I will help make that happen right here, my space, in this building.
A new MySpace.
A new MySpace. Listen, I think
a parent space. There you go.
There's no perfect parent out there. I mean, we all have our faults. There's no perfect teacher. There's no perfect superintendent. There's no perfect school administrator. But we all have room for improvement. I think one of the biggest things that we need to work on teaching our kids, and my God, we work on it. Sherilyn and I work on it all the time with Lily, is instilling a sense of empathy. Instead of just hearing your kid say, I don't like that teacher, or that teacher's mean, or that teacher's not friendly, or this other student is a butthead, or whatever. You go out to a restaurant and you get mediocre service from your waiter, your waitress, or at the grocery store, wherever you are. And your kid recognizes that. Explain to your kid that person could be a really funny person who loves their job, and they've got a great personality and great sense of humor, but there might be something going on in their life that we don't know about behind the curtain that is making them sad or a little disconnected or making them kind of angry. It may not really be who they are. It may be just who they are right now. So be patient with them and have some empathy. Look beyond what you're seeing and hearing right now in front of you, and know that maybe they're just having a really bad day or a bad moment in their life. Remember when we had to put our dog down? You were miserable. We were all miserable for weeks. We were not friendly. We were quiet. We were depressed. We were sad. We were a whole bunch of things. But we didn't walk around with a T-shirt that says, I just put my dog down. Bear with me here for a couple of weeks while I seem like I'm, whatever. We just need to teach our kids to think outside of the box a little bit. And they don't have to like everyone, and they don't have to be liked by everyone. For damn sure. But just to look at things a little broader sometimes.
I think my mom is like a perfect example of that, or she was. Because when I look at my sister Chrissy or I look at my brother Matthew, any one of us could walk into a gas station and you could see that the person behind the counter, if they're having a bad day, I can promise you that my sister or my brother or I will try to put a smile on their face. We'll make a funny comment. We'll say something and tell them, have a great day.
Yeah.
I make a point to say to people, I hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
And I will say that to the people on the phone.
Yeah.
Because those people on the phone that you're talking to on Verizon or Spectrum,
Yeah.
they are having horrible days all the time because
Sure.
they have somebody calling in and giving them a hard time.
Yeah.
But just to hear someone say to them, have a great day, it throws them off.
Yeah, it does.
And it changes their day completely.
Yeah.
One smile, one how are you doing changes a person's day. And people don't realize that. And it was something my mom always did for people. And you could see that person remembers your name.
Mm-hmm.
That person's happy to see you every time you come in. And when you're having a bad day, their smile changes yours.
I know that that there's some forward movement here regarding your case, your situation with your son. I hope you're going to stay in touch with me. You're going to text me updates and keep me up to date on what's happening.
Of course.
And I hope that something really good results out of this, and that we can learn to be more patient with each other, but also understand that we also need to learn to put our foot down too. And there are times when we as adults need to say, I'm just not going to tolerate this anymore. I'm not going to look the other way. I'm going to get involved here, and I'm going to do what I have to do as a parent to protect my kid and to prevent this from happening. And I think you're doing a great job of that, and I commend you because you are so brave to come in here and have a conversation like this. I hope things start turning around and that you've got some good news coming my way here in the next couple of weeks or so. I know that you're not going to stand down and turn and give up on this, and that's really admirable. I wish we had more parents out there that were like that. I think you're doing a hell of a job, and I think you're very brave for coming in here and talking about this subject matter. I wish more parents would do the same.
I want to thank you, JD, for having me here today again. I also think that there's a lot of parents out there. I mean, I know that they share their thoughts on the Berry page, the chat page all the time. You can see people talking about what's going on with the schools.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, this last incident that happened this past week and a half, and it affected a lot of people when the emails were sent out. I'm not going to get into specifics because that's not what this conversation is about today.
Yeah.
But what I do want to say is that, at the end of the day, every parent wants their child to be safe when they're going to school. No matter the situation that it is, they want to make sure their child is safe in school. And because of that, we need to start that conversation now and find ways to fix that situation. As parents, we are the first line, and we need that conversation started with the school system.
Yeah, right. For sure. Keep that conversation going. Keep us up to speed on what's happening.
And let's start that conversation here as an outlet, like JD said. So let's make that happen.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Hope. Hope Garcia, thanks for coming in here. Thanks for having this this chat with us this morning.
Thank you, JD.
And will you come back?
Sure.
We'll do another update. All right. Have a fabulous rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Thanks, Hope.
Follow